Wednesday, October 2nd, 2024. Last night was the one and only vice presidential debate between Governor Tim Walz and Senator J.D. Vance. And um, I got to say, when it started, I was like, Walz was a little shaky. It was very much reminiscent of the Joe Biden thing. Where it's like, oh my God, you've overprepared. You're trying to say too much too quickly. This isn't your strong suit. But I feel like he caught into it. He is good at speaking quickly, but getting those all of that information succinctly. Um, he recovered, but it was like that's definitely not his. Whereas I think one of them said it. Pete Buttigieg probably would have cleaned the floor with JD Vance, and there were a lot of missed opportunities where Waltz could have come back at JD, but they were having this weird, respectful "I agree with you" moment, which I thought was very strange actually through the whole thing. And there were so many moments when JD Vance lied uh, without any kind of um, you know rebuttal to the lie. Um, it was and Vance is he's slick, right? He put on the mask of I'm a boy from Appalachia, and I'm your friend too, which works really well. So I'm not surprised that the sort of the public opinion is kind of split about who won it. And Sarah Haynes is 100% correct. It depends on what you were looking for. Um, Vance had sort of polish and and control, um, but he still said a bunch of shit. Like he didn't answer questions, he didn't provide policy, he lied a bunch of times, um, and and Waltz did come up with policy and sort of make the case for his team. But Vance, this is the thing that's so scary to me is that he still holds all of those um, super right wing fascist ideas because that's what he's told to do by Peter Thiel. Because where he is 100% controlled by Peter Thiel, he's not controlled by Donald Trump. He knows what side his bread is buttered on, and whoever said that Vance is campaigning for the presidency is 100% correct. He's using this opportunity to further himself and using Donald Trump in the process. But so his whole shtick and this persona that he puts on that can make him seem palatable to people that aren't really paying attention. Um, because he said, "Oh no, I don't want a national abortion ban." Big fucking lie. There's a ton of evidence that says of you on camera saying that is what you want. There's him on camera saying, "If I have to create a story to get the media's attention, I will." Like he's an admitted liar, and he's very good at it, and that to me is so scary. So he's got the ability to take all of that um, Donald Trump's word salad, incoherent bullshit, and sort of polish it all in a way that's more palatable to people. And so that sort of eliminates the I don't like the way Trump behaves because they can have that same thing in this guy who seems like someone that they can trust, although you can't because he lies habitually. Um, so it's all of that policy, which is a bunch of shit, and he's just polished it. It's still just polished shit, you know. Um, so nothing has changed in terms of what their agenda is. Um, I don't know if this makes him more likable to people or not, but uh, I don't know if that debate really moves the needle in any way whatsoever because I feel like they keep saying people don't know who these two guys are. They're well, it's I don't know. Those are people who aren't paying attention, and I don't know if 90 minutes is going to give them enough for what they think that's going to make them. If you don't know who they are, it's because you're not paying attention because you don't care enough to know who they are. Um, there is a responsibility as a voter to actually um, go seek out information and do and participate in the process, not just ignore it and then say, well, nobody called me. So yeah. Anyway, um, I do think that it was a little boring, quite frankly, because there was so much agreement. There was so much um, uh, sort of, uh, you know, sort of willing to see the other side. The problem is that Walz is there and saying, "I agree with what he said." The problem is that that's not what their platform actually says. Vance disagreed with the platform that he's running on, and so that whole thing is very confusing to me, and it just sort of um, sort of pushes the argument for the both sidesism people. Anyway, I thought it was interesting that Vance only referred to Walz as Tim and never as governor. Usually, people give the respect of using the title. Walz referred to him as Senator Vance through the whole thing. Um, and I know that for Vance, that was showing a disrespect. I'm not going to call you governor. I'm just going to use your first name. Um, and I think that may have backfired a little bit, because I think it personalizes Tim Walz a little bit more in a way that JD Vance can never be personal. Like, he just doesn't have the ability. We've seen him interact with people out in the wild, and he doesn't know how to order a donut. So it's I thought that was really weird. The answer on January 6th, which came towards the end of the debate, I think by that time a lot of people have probably tuned out, um, because there was actually a little too much substance in it, at least on the Democratic side, um, and it was interesting that um, they didn't just cut mics unilaterally. They had the moderators had the discretion. I felt like both of those women looked like deer in the headlights, moderating. I was not, like, Nora O'Donnell was like a fucking wide-eyed but robotic. And anyway, there was the moment when they did shut off their mics, because it's like, we're done with this and nobody can hear you. And whoever the other woman was, I don't know her name. It was funny because she was like, guys, guys, nobody can hear you. Yeah. Which I thought was funny. But it was also interesting when, talking about the Haitian immigrants in Ohio, when JD Vance was discussing them and calling them illegal immigrants. And it was after he was done, one of the moderators said, the Haitian immigrants in Ohio are actually legal immigrants. And then he goes, "Hey, I was told you weren't going to fact check." And I hate that expression. It's not fact checking. It's simply just providing a correction to something that was untrue. And it's not the whole idea of this whole, we're not going to live fact check. It That doesn't mean the moderator doesn't have a responsibility to say what you're saying is categorically untrue. You can characterize something however you want it to be, but calling someone illegal when they're not legal is that's just incorrect. And then and then he was mad about, the Democrats want to censor misinformation. Yeah, I don't think that's a bad thing. Like, it's weird to me that someone would say, we want to be able to control the what that information that's being sent out to people is actually accurate. And again, you can characterize things however you want, but you can't give out false facts. That's just mind-boggling to me, that someone would say that, no, we want to preserve the ability to lie, and say it so blatantly. That I thought was really weird. And the amount of times that Vance kept saying, the Harris administration and Kamala Harris's administration, and as if, and I wanted someone to say, Kamala Harris has not been the president for the last 3.5 years. Your guy was the president for 4 years and didn't get any shit done. that did get brought up once. Walz did say it once, but I'd say that Trump already had his turn, and he didn't build the wall, and nobody and Mexico didn't pay for it. I thought that was a great point to be like, you had a shot at this, and you fucked it up bad. So what makes you think that you're going to do any better the second time? So I enjoyed that, but I wanted someone to tell him this is not Kamala Harris's administration that we're currently in. And do you understand what the job of the vice president is? Anyway, I thought the best line of the night did come at the end from Tim Walz, who said that, do you want someone who's going to honor democracy, or do you want someone who's going to honor Donald Trump? And to me, that was the line of the night. Because in this particular election, those options are mutually exclusive. You can either honor democracy or you can honor Donald Trump. Those are but the two do not intertwine in any way whatsoever. So I'm sad to see that line isn't getting more attention. But because I think, to me, that sort of succinctly says, what this race is about. And I know I didn't do a thing yesterday, but and I don't usually like talking about guests, but it kind of correlates to one of yesterday's hot topics, talking about endorsements. And so Raven-Symoné came on the show today and just talked about ideologically where she sits in terms of how she's making her decision about who she's going to vote for, and didn't name any names, and just talking about who I want to sort of be representing us in the way that I want to be seen in the world, which I thought was a great answer without using any names. And the whole problem with Chappell Roan's, and nobody has to endorse anybody. Nobody has to tell anybody who they're voting for. That's not a requirement. Even if, as a celebrity, you don't have an obligation to be involved, especially when you aren't as informed as you could be or should be if you're going to talk on the subject. And Chappell Roan isn't informed enough. And the problem that she made is that she equated the two parties, the Democrat and Republican parties, as equally awful. And then when she got pushback for that, or from that, she kind of doubled down and said, of course I'm going to vote for Harris, but I'm not going to endorse her. And went on sort of the same sort of circular rant about why both parties are awful, specifically talking about Middle East policy. And I get she has a genuine frustration about a specific issue on the world stage, and how the United States is participating in it. But there's more to what is going on in the world and what it takes to run this country than that issue. So it and what she ended up doing was spreading misinformation in her follow-up. So she kind of deserves the backlash a little bit. But I also agree with Whoopi that at some point you got to give her a little grace. I don't like the hate online. It's hey, you probably shouldn't have said that. And here's some information about why that was an incorrect statement. I don't know why people just jump on the bandwagon to say she's a terrible person. She's not a terrible person. She's just not properly informed, and she's young. So it's like, but I don't know. She'll be fine. Zachary Levi will be fine. But it is a little bit of career suicide. When you're throwing their hat in the ring with Chachi, I don't know. Anyway, this is a long ramble for something that I don't know that ultimately that debate is going to change anyone's mind. I feel like people that are already in their camps feel like their guy won. But it was interesting to see that Sonny Hostin said that 58% of independents thought Walz won the debate. I don't know if that means that they agree with him and they want to vote for him. They just think he did a better job in the debate. It's hard to extrapolate those tiny little bits of data into what what that's going to end up in terms of the electorate and the votes counted. Which is why I hate the polls. I hate all of this stuff, and it's like the only poll that matters is the result of the election polling on after the polls close. Um, so it's the voting. That's the thing that matters, and that's what we need to make sure we get enough of those votes. And the fact that we have to nail bite this um, when it over 7 states. That's the thing that drives me insane. That we have to get enough people in very specific pockets of the country um, so that their state goes to the winner. Even if it's by a 1,000 vote difference. That winner take all process of electoral college needs to go. Make it representative. I don't know how we accomplish that, but if I don't know, because I think we would need Republican support to make that kind of a law, and they're not going to do that because it's the only way that they can win, gerrymandering and stacking the electoral college, which is just frightening. That's not democracy. Um, yeah, well, that's a sad way to end a Wednesday, but hump day. God, I hate that expression.